Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be discussing the startup environment. Now, whenever you open the Aspen Hysys software, the startup environment is the window that comes up first, and that is the environment we have on the screen at the moment. So I'll be discussing some of its features. Now, to start off, at the top right of the screen, the top right, you have the minimize, the maximize, and then the close, right? To either minimize, maximize, or close the application. Then at the top left, you have the quick access toolbar, right? That is customizable depending on the functions you want it to have. You can customize it. So this is your quick access toolbar right here at the top left. Then you have the file, then the customize and resources ribbons. Then quite below you have the recent models, open and new. Now, the recent models usually contains simulation files that you have recently modeled and saved, right? So if you simulate a process and you save it, right, you will most likely find it in the recent models, provided it's one of your latest simulations. So it's just the most recent files that you would find here. You will not find all of your files here, right? But this recent model helps you to quickly access your latest saved simulations, right? So you can quickly access it from this recent models section right here. Now you have the open and then new, right? So the open and new is for you to either open a file or create a new file, a new simulation document. So if you want to open a new file, if you want to open an already existing file, you click on open. If you want to create a new file, you click on new, right? So that's how it works, right? Then going over to the file section, in file you have exchange, you have new and open, which are the ones I just explained. Then you have activate, you have close case. Now you can either close the current case you are working on, or you close all the cases you have opened within that particular file, right? So if you want to close just the current case you were working on that is on your screen, you click on close case. But if you want to close all the cases you opened within that file, you click on close all cases, right? Then you have save and save as. Now they are not activated because no document is opened. So if you either open an already existing document or you create a new document, both the save and the save as will be activated, right? So you can either save or you use save as. Then you have export. Then you have recent, which is the one I just explained. Then version compare. Now version compare is used to compare simulation results between different versions, right? So if you simulate, for example, if you simulate a process using, let's say, version 8.8, and you want to compare the results of version 8.8 with version 11, you can use this version compare to do that. Then we have the edit compound file, we have script manager, then we have print. Now the print is used to print the flow sheet, your flow sheet in the simulation environment. So if you want to print your flow sheet as a PFD, that's your PFD as a file, you want to print it as a document, you click on print right here. So if you are in your simulation environment, and you want to print your flow sheet, just try to locate file at the top right, at the top left. Locate file at the top left, click on it, and then come over to print and click on it, and you will be able to print your flow sheet, right? Your process flow diagram. Then you have print setup. Now, print setup is for you to set, before printing your flow sheet, you can adjust some settings, some printing settings before you print the flow sheet, right? So you can do that with your print setup. So you click on the print setup graphic, and then you can adjust the format, the paper size, the orientation before you print the flow sheet, right? Then you have about. About gives you information about the it gives you information about the version you are using, the version of the software you are using. It gives you details about the version, right? Then, sorry about that, you have the options and then exit, right? So exit is if you want to exit the software, you just click on exit. So apart from using the close right here, you can use the exit to exit the software. Then you have options. Now, options is used to make adjustments to that particular simulation case you are working on. So you could make adjustments to the simulation which involves settings on the simulation environment. Then you could make adjustments to reports, equipment, unit of measure, Aspen properties options, and then resources options, right? So if you want to make certain adjustments to the simulation features, that's the features on the simulation environment, you can do that here, from here, depending on what you want. Then if you want to make adjustments to how the reports generated on the software would appear, you can make that such adjustments here. Then if you want to make adjustments to some of the equipment, you can do that here. Then for unit of measure, you can use already existing unit sets, right? Each unit set has the units for each of the parameters. So you can either use the already existing unit set, or you can create a customized unit set that you are going to use for your simulation, right? So for example, the already existing ones have each parameter has their units. You have the field unit set, you have the SI unit set, Euro SI, safety EN, and safety SI. Each of them have their units for their corresponding parameters, right? And in this case, all these particular default unit sets, the units of the parameters cannot be altered, right? You cannot alter them, right? So if you want to change some of the units of certain parameters, you may want to create a custom unit set for your simulation, right? So if you want to do that, you could click on copy, right? So copy gives you the opportunity to create a customizable unit set, right? So for example, you want to change, let's say, molar flow. You want to change the unit of molar flow, the default unit of molar flow. So it's at kg mole per hour. For example, you can change it to lb mole per hour. Yes, then maybe temperature. Let's go for temperature. So for temperature is degrees Celsius. You can change it to Fahrenheit, for example. Then pressure should be kPa. Pressure is bar G. Let's change it to bar. We'll change it to bar. Once you are done specifying the units you want for the parameters in that unit set you created, you can then click OK, right? So once you click OK, the unit set is made effective to that particular case, right? Now, then we have the Aspen properties options, which consist of the Aspen property data banks. Then you have we have the resources options. Now in the resources options, you could change the colors of a lot of things, such as the material stream, the energy stream, the flowsheet background, the text, the equipment text, etc. Now, for example, if you want to change the flowsheet background, right, you can change it by clicking on the PFD background right here, and you see that the current color is white. Now you can change it to another color by clicking on, once you have clicked on it, you click on select custom color, right? Now then you can now choose the color you want. So for example, I'll choose this and then I'll click OK, right? I'll click OK. Now when you are done making your or setting your preferences, you can actually save those preferences to use them in another case file, right? So that you don't have to start setting it from the beginning again. So if you still want to use such preferences in the future, you can actually save it by clicking on save preference set, right? So you click on it and then you save it with whatever name you choose, S1, and then you click on save. You click on save. Now once you click on save, the preference settings have been saved. Then you can now click on OK, so that those settings you made can be effected on that particular simulation case you are working on. So you just click OK. Now for unit of measure, if you scroll down, we have the variable formats, right? Variable formats, that's when you have values for these parameters, what format would those values have, right? So these ones, for example, they have 4 significant figures. You see most of them have four significant figures, right? If you check them, so you can adjust them to whatever you want. Then you have the standard temperature settings and the ambient temperature setting, of which you can actually change to other values that you prefer, right? So now you then click OK once you are done specifying all your settings, right? You click OK. Now let's try to use that particular preference that was saved. Let's use it in another case file. Now in this case file, for example, our default units for temperature, pressure, and molar flow are Celsius, kilopascal, and kg mole per hour. So we'll try to change these default units and the flow sheet background using that preference that we saved, right? So like I said, you click on file at your top left, you click on file, then you go to options, Then in options, you have load preference set. You click on load preference set. Now, the name of our preference set is S1. So you choose it from whatever folder you saved it in. You click on it, then you click open. When you click open, you then click OK. Right? So automatically the flowsheet background has changed. The flowsheet background has changed, and if you check, you see that the units for temperature, pressure, and molar flow have also changed. So the default unit for temperature is now Fahrenheit. Default unit is bar. The default unit for molar flow is lb mol per hour. Right? So we have been able to load those preference settings to this particular case. Right? So that's it for that one. Then let's go back. So here we discussed the file. Now we can go over to customize. In customize, you have script manager, macro language editors, register extension. Then you have your conceptual design builder, which is used to create scenarios for gas oil separation processes, your conceptual design builder. Then you have your resources. In resources, you have what's new, right? So the what's new helps you to get familiar with the new features in that particular version you are using. So if you install a higher version than the one you have been using before, you can check what's new to know about the new features that have been added to that newer version, right? So that's what you get from the what's new tab. Then you have examples. Now, okay, let's check the what's new. So if you click on it, it takes you to the Hysys Help, and then it shows you what's new, right? So it says general Hysys improvements, Hysys properties improvements, Hysys dynamics improvements, safety improvements. So you can click on each of them to know the exact details of what have been added, right, to make the software better from your what's new. Sorry about that. Then for the examples, you have some already simulated processes in Hysys, right? Some already simulated processes in Hysys, default simulations, more like demo simulations, right? These simulations can help you while you are simulating processes that are probably similar to them, right? So for example, if you have a process to simulate, you can come to these examples and check if that particular process you want to simulate is related to any of the already existing files in this particular section. So if you click on it, you will see a lot of folders, right? A lot of folders and HSC documents that are embedded, right? So these documents are simulations that have been embedded in the Aspen Hysys database, right? Already solved simulations that you can check, right, to see how they were actually simulated, right? So if you have a simulation that is a bit challenging, you may want to check here to see if something of that nature has been done before, right? So if you find something related to it, then it will be good, right? Because it will give you a guide in order to simulate your own process, right? So there are a lot of simulations here. You can open any of them. For example, we can click on ammonia synthesis HSC and click open, right? So it's going to open the simulation case. You see it. So let's zoom in a little. Okay, so this is the process. Now, if you are to simulate a process on ammonia synthesis, now you could use this as a guide to actually develop your own model, right? So whenever you have a process to simulate, you may want to check the examples. Next, we have training, right? So this one has to do with trainings that are being organized by Aspen Tech, right? Then you have models. Then you have events. That's events being organized by Aspen. Then you have announcements. You have all content. You have support center, right? This one is for registered users that are registered under Aspen Tech. Then you have check for updates, right? So if additional updates have been made to the software, you could use this check for updates to know the update that has been made to that particular version you are using. Then you have live chat, send support. I think most of these sections here require network connection to work, right? Then you have help. Now, help is very important. One of the very important resources you have in the software, right? So, for example, you want to research about something, that if a particular feature in the software or a particular parameter you are not familiar with, you can use the Hysys Help to get information about it, right? All you need to do is you click on it, it opens, and then you type in whatever you want to search for right here, right? Anything at all, anything that comes to your mind about the software or any feature in the software you are not familiar with. So if you want to type about, for example, you can type kinetic, let me see, kinetic model. When you type it, you press enter, right? You press enter, and then a lot of information will come. Then you could click on whichever one you like and read about it, right? For example, here we have the about the kinetic reaction. So you can click on it and then read about it. Now, this right here will give you information about how to model the kinetic model, right? So in reaction, when you are specifying reactions, you have a model called kinetic model, right? So for example, if you had issues with specifying that particular model, you can come to this Hysys Help and understand how to actually specify that particular model properly, right? So you read about everything right here. Then you now go back to make your specifications, right? You can also do this not just for parameters, you can do this for equipment as well, right? So you can put inputs there. You can type in the two-phase separator, for example. If you wanted to know more about it, you can just type it there, two-phase separator, and you hit enter, right? Two-phase separator. You see, so it gives you information about the separator, right? It gives you information about the separator. You can even do it, you can do it for any equipment at all, any parameter you find in the software. Any parameter you find in the software that is not quite clear, you can just come here and check about it and read about it before you continue your simulation, just so you can get more information about it, right? So you can either do it for parameters or features in the software, the different features in the software. For example, the methods assistant, you can type it there. It's a feature in the software, methods assistant. You can type it and then search for it, right? Methods assistant, so that you can understand, you can gain information about the methods assistant. So you can virtually do it for everything, parameters, parameters, equipment, and then the features in the software, right? So this Hysys Help is very important while simulating processes, right? And with this, we have come to the end of this particular lecture. We have come to the end of this lecture, right? If you have questions about the startup environment, you can send them via the comment section. Then like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so yet. Good day and thank you for joining us. See you in the next lecture.